we got to talk about cannabis for trauma recovery. Not enough people are talking about this, the way that CBD can disassociate the trauma from the memory and help you find peace and healing. So let's unpack this. Trauma is something that your brain perceives from an event or experience that happened. So while the event may be traumatizing, it's more about your brain's perception and memory and experience with that trauma and the way that it still affects you mentally and physically today. Now, when we're specifically talking about communities with very intense trauma, like service members and combat veterans, or people who had complex childhood abuse, there are some things we can't just forgive and forget. And sometimes traditional talk therapy isn't very effective for some of these experiences that aren't best to be relived. Now, what do we do about some of these haunting memories or these night terrors or this post-traumatic stress? For the things we can't forgive and forget, I want to explain what cannabis has done for me and what I believe it can do for everyone suffering from trauma. What it does on a chemical level, and I'm going to oversimplify and summarize thousands of published studies. So do your own research, because there are over 22,000 published peer-reviewed studies about cannabis proving there's zero harmful side effects, there's no toxic dose, and you really can't get it wrong within reason. So let's talk about what this does for trauma. In your brain, if the trauma or the traumatic part of the memory is still in the forefront of your brain, that means it's still haunting you. It's still at the forefront of your mind, and you are often triggered, or things in life can trigger that memory, and it's constantly coming up in your brain. Now, what cannabis does on a chemical level, and again, I am oversimplifying this, it disassociates the trauma from the memory, and it puts that memory into long-term storage. So again, with some of these things that we can't just forget, unfortunately, we don't want to constantly be reminded of them, specifically not while we're trying to live our lives. We want those things to no longer haunt us. So regardless of whatever peace you have or have not made with your past, what cannabis can help you do is find grounding. It can disassociate the trauma from the memory so that the memory is no longer as traumatic for you. That means you'll be able to sleep peacefully. That means you'll be able to experience life with peace and grounding and certainty and clarity. That means those nagging thoughts and haunting nightmares will no longer torment you, because on a chemical level, your brain has disassociated the trauma from the memory. It's put the memory into long-term storage, and now you can start to heal. So there are so many therapeutic benefits of cannabis. I specifically want service members and anyone suffering from intense, complex PTSD or trauma to try this. This is a natural plant medicine. Now, of course, I want to caution you about the quality. Quality is so make or break when it comes to cannabis. It's about the way that it's grown, the soil, the environment, the hemp, and all the things about cultivation. It's about extraction and making sure it's manufactured properly, not only up to standard, but in the way that makes it more bioavailable, which means easier to absorb. So you want to be really careful about where you buy your cannabis from, because if you're buying it from the gas station or a vape shop, you're probably going to get some unwanted side effects, because there are a lot of other things mixed into those ingredients. Look it up. So I obviously recommend Pure Mana CBD because I can vouch for it, because I trust in it, because it works for so many people. Not only is it grown in the USA, organically grown with all the best methods, the soil, the environment, everything is perfect. It's the gold standard of manufacturing. We also nano-amplify our CBD. That means it makes it easier for your body to absorb. For the nerds like me, we break down the CBD particles safely so that they can break through your blood-brain barrier, and so that you can absorb up to 100% versus the typical 10 to 35% that most CBD offers. So you really want to always prioritize quality. You get what you pay for. Doesn't mean it has to be expensive, but here's what I want you to ensure whatever company you buy from has: third-party lab tests. That means the company sends their batch to a third-party lab in the United States that can verify not only the quality to make sure that it's up to par, but also so that there are no other toxins or ingredients or fillers or other things that shouldn't be in there, to make sure you're getting what you're paying for. So start with quality CBD, and especially if you have any type of complex trauma or even just basic trauma or things you want to improve about your mental health, try it. There's no harmful side effects. It is not addictive. Of course, we recommend that you do this in conjunction with a healthy lifestyle. But if you're at a point where your mind is constantly accelerating, CBD can also help diffuse that anxiety or that fear or that stress so that you can regain your grounding and find your peace. I want every single person to find the type of healing that can be achieved by this natural plant medicine. Again, no harmful side effects. It's not addictive. It's not intoxicating. You won't get high, and actually with Pure Mana CBD, it will not register on a drug test. So I challenge you to try this and see if it helps. At the very least, regain your grounding and find peace, and maybe it'll even disassociate the trauma from the memory and put that memory into long-term storage for you. Good luck.